Hey, everybody, this is Rod Meldon, the Book of Mormon Evidence guy, and I have with me here Jonah Barnes, as everyone can recognize,
of course,
of Ward Radio.
Yeah.
And so, our interviews are typically a little bit, kind of low key. I don't know. Should we crank it up to the Ward Radio level?
Well, I don't want to damage your equipment. Got to preserve the equipment.
Yeah. Let's not damage all the equipment here.
Right.
But yeah, Ward Radio is so awesome. What you guys have been doing here, the way you're defending the church and doing it in a fun and entertaining and exciting kind of way. It's been fantastic. I enjoyed being with you guys with Carden.
Yeah. We've had you on there.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Captain America. Yeah, right. That's right.
Yeah, the most outlandish outfit I think Carden's ever donned.
Oh no. He's that's nothing. Carden has been in an awful lot of crazy stuff.
Situations there.
Not all of it gets on YouTube.
Yeah. But I've always been impressed by your commentary, that it's kind of the things that you bring up and so forth in these interviews, and you guys touch on a lot of pretty touchy subjects a lot of times.
Sure.
So I've appreciated your thoughtful responses and your faithful responses too.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's been really awesome.
Thank you.
But you've got a book that you've put together.
I have.
Tell us a bit about the book.
I'm tired of you reading that stodgy old Book of Mormon, Rod, so I'm giving you something better to read. No, I'm just kidding.
Key to the Keystone.
Key to the Keystone, yes.
How Apocryphal Texts Unlock the Book of Mormon's Brass Plates.
Yes.
By Jonah R., as in?
Rod.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Richard.
Ryan.
Okay. Okay. Barnes.
Yeah, so.
Okay, and a foreword by D. John Butler. So.
Yeah, so the idea is.
Yes, tell us about this.
The idea is that I love the Book of Mormon Evidence Conference. I think it's great. Awesome. Good work.
Yeah, we're actually here.
Yeah, we're here at the
Outside.
Evidence Conference. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a huge crowd of people. We can't turn the cameras around, but there's just a huge crowd. We're going to stage dive after this. They're going to carry us off. The Book of Mormon Evidence Conference is great. Talking about all these different ways of showing the evidence for the Book of Mormon, because the Book of Mormon is totally true. Yeah. But there's kind of one metaphor that I like to use. And it's if you go to a restaurant and you ask the waiter, like, hey, how's the pudding? I want to try the pudding for dessert. And the waiter's like, well, just to warn you, the pudding chef that we have, he did not study in Paris. Okay. And then the table next to you's like, yes, we heard the pudding chef, he actually never finished his culinary arts degree. Yeah. Oh, okay. Ooh. And then, the manager comes out and says, the pudding chef, he wears Crocs.
Ooh,
and
Crocs.
You go, oh.
Ooh.
Now, a reasonable person might say, is the pudding any good? Because, look, I don't care who made the pudding. I just want to know, is it good pudding? I'm just looking for good pudding, okay? Because, as they say, the proof is in the pudding.
That's right.
So with the Book of Mormon, often, our critics will talk a lot about who was Joseph Smith and when he did this and how did he know and where
What's his credentials?
What's his credentials?
That's
and,
right.
His brother went to Dartmouth and blah, 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 and all this garbage, right? To which I want to be like, okay, is the pudding any good? Have you read the Book of Mormon? Because he said, if you want to know this book is true, read the book. Joseph never said, now you'll know this book is true because I'm this great expert and I speak Egyptian and Hebrew and blah, blah. No, he never said anything like that.
You should trust me because I am a scholar.
Yes, he never, ever said that. As a matter of fact, he rejected all of that. He said, I'm a little farm boy, but God has revealed this book through me. And Joseph Smith, actually, quite honestly, didn't even know the Book of Mormon that well. Parley P. Pratt had to explain some things to him, which I think is hilarious. Joseph Smith knew the Bible real well, but when it came to the Book of Mormon, Parley P. Pratt was pointing out prophecies. This is you and Jacob in 2nd Nephi, and Joseph's like, wait, what? So what I like to tell people is like, if you're looking for evidence that the Book of Mormon is true, the best evidence you can find is in the text itself. Try the pudding. The pudding will prove if it's good or not. So what I've done with my book, I would go through and I'd look at apocryphal texts, extra biblical texts. So I'd look at, the books of Enoch, or I'd look at Book of Jasher, the Ascension of Isaiah. I'd look at some of the old Slavonic texts and the Palea. I look at kind of anything extra biblical that purports to be ancient. Mm-hmm. And it
has some provenance that actually is the case. That
sure.
It's not,
not crazy. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I knew that there were parallels with the Book of Mormon. Hugh Nibley's done a lot of great work on this. Michael Rush, a lot of great work on this. So people have done this. Greater minds than mine have already looked at these parallels. But then we started studying the Book of Mormon this year. And I would notice that every time one of those parallels would pop up, it happened to be where a Nephite author would say, and now I'm quoting from the brass plates. I'd say, well, that's weird. And then the next time, another one of those parallels, one of those impossible coincidences would pop up, and it'd say, and the things which I've read on the brass plates. And I'd say,
what brass plates?
What's going on? This is so weird. And so I found out that wherever the Book of Mormon quotes from the brass plates also happen to be parallel with or line up with these ancient apocryphal writings. And I started to think, were the apocrypha like on the brass plates? That's weird. And so I started exploring this thesis. Now, when I say apocrypha, I'm not talking about the Deuterocanon. The Deuterocanon, that refers to the books that were torn out by the Protestants who always berate us for adding things.
Yeah, like, 500.
Yeah, they say, hey, don't take anything out of the Bible. Yeah. And then they rip out half the Catholic Bible. Thanks, guys. But that's the Deuterocanon. And I'm not talking about the Deuterocanon. I never once quote the Deuterocanon in my book. I'm talking about things that came forth after the Book of Mormon was published.
Yeah.
Joseph Smith never could have known. He never could have known these things. And yet,
there's things in there.
He predicts it with impossible accuracy. And there's dozens, hundreds of these factoids or phrases or wording or motifs, patterns that he somehow has in the Book of Mormon and happens to have them right where the Nephite authors say, I'm getting this from the brass plates. Now, Joseph never says, now you'll notice in my book here, all the times when it happened to line up with the brass. Like, he never does that. That's right?
That's right.
But they do. And so I started exploring this thesis to say, I wonder if I could reconstruct what was on the brass plates using some of these apocryphal texts. You might be familiar with the two-source hypothesis. Have you ever heard of the two-source hypothesis with the Gospels?
Two Cumorah hypothesis, but we haven't got a two Adamondiam hypothesis yet.
Oh,
nobody's done that.
Well, that's my next book. Adamondiam.
No, but tell us what is that?
Well, the two-source hypothesis. So a lot of biblical scholars looked at Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they said it looks like Mark was written first as kind of the bare bones. And then Matthew and Luke built upon Mark.
It came up.
And this is a pretty widely accepted.
Additional insights.
Yes.
And so forth, yeah.
And they said, funny thing, but a lot of those additional insights that they add align with Matthew and Mark, but they don't align with Matthew and Luke, but they don't align with Mark. So maybe there was a second source document that they drew jointly from because they find these common themes in both. That's called the Q theory or the Q source theory. And it's a very widely known biblical theory. They've actually taken that theory and reconstructed what they think this other source document may have had. And many biblical scholars say this is a very logical way, a theory for how Matthew and Luke have what they have.
Yeah.
So I said, what if I could do that with the brass plates? What if I could look at what the Book of Mormon has and look at what these apocryphal documents have and then look at what the Bible does not have and see if I could prove that the Book of Mormon was drawing from these documents that never made it into the Bible. And so I outlined this argument in my book and go through a lot of these.
That's this book right
here. That's what we're talking about. The key to the Keystone, yeah.
So what did you find?
I found that it's all fake.
Read the book.
None of it's true, people. Let's go to Vegas. Let's get some drinks.
It's kind of funny because we have the same kind of a problem in the archaeological area where people go, stones were found in Newark, Ohio, that came out of a mound that dates to about 100 A.D. and so forth. And it has the stone. It has the 10 Commandments on it, written in an ancient form of Hebrew. And over the top of this thing it says Moshe or Moses. And they go, well, wait a minute. Well, how this doesn't fit in time and space, because the Bible wasn't even compiled yet over in Europe yet until 300 AD.
Sure.
But here is the law. Here's the 10 Commandments, which they think only came from the Bible, so it can only come from the Bible at 300 AD. It's showing up in a Native American mound in Newark, Ohio at 100 AD. Therefore, these have to be fake.
Well, so
there's just no way that this could actually work. But there is an answer, and that is they had the brass plates, which has the 5 books of Moses, which has the 10 Commandments in it.
Right.
That's how they knew at 500 or 600 BC when they got the brass plates.
Yes,
so it's awesome.
When Joseph Smith wrote the Book of Mormon in 1829, translated the Book of Mormon in 1829, originally there was kind of one witness to the ancient world, and that was the Bible.
Yeah.
The Bible says this, that's
right.
truth. So if you want to know about the ancient world, you read the Bible. So then the Book of Mormon pops up and says, hey, wait, me too. And people go read it and they go, well, sorry, sometimes it doesn't align with the Bible, therefore it cannot be ancient. That was their logic. That was the whole study, right, that they performed. These scholars and lawyers.
But there's more than just the Bible to judge from, which is what you're doing here.
Yes.
With the apocryphal writings that have been removed from the Bible, so they weren't there. Joseph Smith wouldn't have possibly known about those, and so that's an excellent way to check and say, okay, so does this make sense then with the brass plates?
Right. So then we have some hecklers.
Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Look who showed up in here.
Quiet.
Crashing our stuff. You go away now.
Interview.
Paul brothers are not allowed here.
So yeah, but yeah, this is what I do. So after Joseph Smith writes this in 1829, then you get this trickle that turns into a showers, turns into a hailstorm of apocryphal documents that come out after he's gone, after we've murdered him because he didn't agree
technically assassinated, yes,
because he didn't agree with our Bible, because he didn't agree with the ancient world. Then all of a sudden, all these other voices from the ancient world start popping up, and guess what they say?
Verifying.
They say, actually, Joseph was totally right.
Yeah.
He was right in that Satan is our own personal and direct tempter. Eve made the right decision, and the fall was a wonderful thing. Repentance is an interior deal. Mm-hmm. It's not just sacrifices and bodily expressions, that it's actually for your eternal soul and salvation. They start saying that every prophet has been messianic. Every prophet's been messianic. When Jesus Christ says, Abraham saw my day and rejoiced in John chapter 8:56. Mm-hmm. Abraham saw my day and rejoiced to see it. What's he talking about? Jesus, what are you talking
happenings. About?
Yeah. He never saw that. What are you talking about? It's not in the Bible, right? It's not in the Bible. Now, I want to ask my Christian friends, is Jesus lying? Or is your Bible incomplete? Right? Because he says, and Paul says the same thing, Satan transformed himself into an angel of light, 1 Corinthians. What are you talking about, Paul? Paul, what are you talking about? There's no story of him changing to angel of light.
Yeah, where is that in the Bible?
Or when he quotes the Book of Enoch, or John, or when Jude quotes the Book of Enoch, or when 2 Peter talks about the antediluvians. Look, were they all lying, or is their Bible incomplete? Right?
I tell you, when you read some of these apocryphal texts, it is just astounding. Like reading the Book of Jasher, for example, and the whole Joseph of Egypt. And so forth. I mean, some of the detail there is just like mind blowing. When one of the brothers basically threatens Joseph, who's the second in command of all of Egypt, and he's threatening. He said, "If you don't let our brother go, Benjamin, we will bring down God on you, and we will destroy Egypt. And you know we can do it because we've done it to other people, and God is on our side. And you better not mess with us." So he's out there. Here's 12 guys that are begging for food. At the most powerful, empire at the time, and he's basically threatening them.
Yes,
if they mess with us, our God will basically take you out.
Lay waste
and
to Egypt.
Joseph was scared to death that it was going to happen.
Yes, he was. He's freaked out.
That's not in the Bible. There's nowhere in the Bible he talks about that.
The negotiation for Benjamin takes 75 verses in the Book of Jasher.
Yeah,
Genesis, like 15. Right, and it's over. And what is it? It's Joseph is like, "Hey, are you sorry for what you did to your brother?" And Judah's like, "Yeah, I hope I don't get caught." And Joseph's like, "Hey, it's me." And they're like, "OMG!" And it's over. It's over. Whereas the Book of Jasher shows a totally different Judah and a totally different Joseph. And I quote, I contrast this in my book. Yeah. There's this wonderful verse in Genesis where Joseph finally reveals himself. And if you follow the Book of Jasher, it follows completely. It says, Joseph revealed himself. Joseph revealed himself. Everybody cried. Benjamin cried. And you go, wait, what? Like somebody in the Bible took out the brothers weeping for their brother Joseph. It's not there.
And also Judah basically offering himself
as a slave. He says,
"I will take my life, but we cannot go back without our brother. I will not go back to our father unless our brother's with us." And
point me to some king, and thou shalt
yeah.
know what I shall do unto him, and I'll bring you his head. Yeah.
And he lets out a shriek.
Yes.
So loud it caused women to miscarry.
Yeah, miscarry. Yeah, I love it. It's such a great story. Yeah, but that story.
But this is stuff that's not in the Bible, but it's in the apocryphal writings.
Yeah.
So with all of that additional insight, what kind of things can you give us a little teaser as to what you found as far as the brass plate connection?
So
Tell us, Jonas. Come on.
What I think I managed to do is here's the deal. Actually, I can even show you here.
Yeah.
What I try to lay out here is that biblical scholars today agree, for the most part. They don't agree on everything. Nothing is agreed
Nobody agrees on everything.
But they agree. Most of them agree that the Bible, the Torah and the Tanakh and the Old Testament was originally compiled around 550 BC, after they returned from the Babylonian exile.
So about 550 BC.
So
wait.
Swallow that
BC,
for a second.
BC. Okay.
Swallow that for a second. Wait a minute. So they only start compiling the Bible after the Book of Mormon's gone. So the Book of Mormon and the brass plates.
The brass plates are
brass plates have been taken. They're gone.
Yeah.
And Lehi leaves. And so I try to show this in my book, that the brass plates get yoinked. They get taken. And then yoinked. It's a Yiddish.
Yeah. There we go.
It's Hebrew term.
I love that.
It's Reformed Egyptian.
Love that term.
And then the Old Testament is compiled kind of in this century, but the brass plates dodge all of the editors. They dodge all the scribes. And so what you have preserved in the Book of Mormon is a pure, older version of the gospel. And so when we say the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ, we should actually be saying it's the original testament of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because it pulls from these older, pure traditions.
You might say it's a restoration.
You might say it's a restoration. Yeah. So that's where Lehi gets off, saying things like, men are that they might have joy. The fall was a great thing. Kids lead to joy, and they're wonderful. And probationary state, opposition in all things. And you say, Lehi, none of this is in the Bible. What are you saying? Where do you get this stuff? He gets it because he has an original, uncorrupted gospel that came before the scribes changed everything.
Wow.
And so what I detail in my book are, what are the things that they took out? They took out resurrection. They took out the Messiah, the suffering Messiah, the sonship of God. They took out interior repentance.
Satan.
They took out the Gentiles, Satan.
Yeah.
The Gentiles they hated.
Yeah.
The allegory of Xenos. By the way, Xenos is all over the Apocrypha, by the way. Yeah. It's like all over. They took that out. They didn't want that in there because it talked about Gentiles. It talked about the Messiah. It talked about the corporeality of God. These things that are obvious to Joseph Smith in 1829, he makes these claims. He doesn't even apologize. He's just like, oh yeah, and God's totally got a body, and families are great, and the fall was awesome. And you're like, whoa, Joseph.
Wait, whoa. What about the Nicene? What about the Nicene Creed? What about the Council of Nicene? What about all that? The body everywhere and nowhere and
you find out that
everything. Yeah.
The reason he says that, because he's basing our religion off the Book of Mormon, and the Book of Mormon authors base their religion off the brass plates. And the brass plates were the Josephite line. I talk about the Josephite history, what it would have looked like, what the years it would have covered, and the stories it would have had. I talk about the hidden prophets, the prophets that should have been in there that aren't in there, and you can get an idea for what the stick of Joseph actually looked like.
Awesome. So how many years did you work on this project?
Well, I've been studying the Apocrypha for over a decade. Yeah. I got a job where I was traveling away from my family, which sucked.
not that much fun.
And I was like, okay, what am I going to do on these planes all day? And so I started reading the Apocrypha.
Some light reading. Some mellow reading.
Old Slavonic,
Enoch. Book of Enoch.
Who doesn't read that, right? I mean, right? So I started reading that stuff. And then Ward Radio, Cardinellis said, this is cool. You need to put this together. And I was like, really? He's like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Like, okay. And he really encouraged me to put it together into this. So this is for you, Rod.
Oh,
Put away those
this
boring,
is a personal copy?
those dusty old books you're reading.
I don't see a signature in there yet.
Oh,
come on, John.
Shoot.
Come on, we got to get a signature in there. Come on, get a signature.
But what this is this is the pudding. This is the pudding. You want to know the Book of Mormon is true?
So awesome.
The text. You can prove it using the text. The text has the best evidence for the Book of Mormon you'll ever find. It's on those pages that Joseph Smith wrote. And now we can show it using extra biblical ancient sources. It is absolutely an authentic book. It is an ancient book. It's got ancient antiquity written all over it. So,
well, speaking of awesome books, then, where do we get this one?
You can get this at plainandpreciouspublishing.com.
Okay.
It's sold through Plain and Precious Publishing. Or Amazon.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be, and you've done some Word Radio episodes with this.
Yeah, but none of them as fun as this.
But not like this. I
No.
mean, this is the most
Word Radio
in-depth one by far. Yeah,
Yeah, it's boring.
Snoozer.
Yeah.
Snoozer. Sorry, Carden. All right, well, listen, thank you, Jonah. We sure appreciate you coming and
Thanks so
stopping
much for
by.
having me.
Thanks for being here at the Firm Foundation Expo. And,
I love it. It's great.
We love it. This is so great.
If you're not here at the Firm Foundation Conference, you got to come to the next one. It's a good time.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And listen, if you're enjoying some of these interviews and so forth that we're doing with these fantastic people here like Jonah, go ahead and click on that subscribe button below. Make sure you go to Word Radio and watch the episodes, especially the one with Cardinal dressed up as Captain America.
Oh yeah,
that one is and Brill. Yeah, we had he's Mesoamerica Brill.
Favorite Lamanite.
Favorite Lamanite, man. Oh, and he's behind here. Yeah,
he's like, hey, I'm not a
come over here. Take those headphones off for a second. Come over here, Brill.
Who you calling a Lamanite?
Come on over here. Who you calling Lamanite?
I'm actually Nephite. So just for the record,
He's a Nephite. That's right, man.
Correcting the record.
All right, everybody. Listen, thanks so much, and when you get a chance, go to bookofmormonevidence.org for additional information. We only have one more day left of the expo here, so we would invite you to come and be a part of that. But unfortunately, we have no space in the house. I mean, we this venue is like half the size it needs to be. And
next time we're Rice Eccles.
So yeah, next time we're good.
At Lavelle Edwards Stadium.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Conference
Lavelle
center.
Edwards Stadium is pretty close to my
conference center,
old
right?
house. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 60,000 people.
60,000. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll fill it.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get that many views on this one. So who knows?
Let's hope.
Thanks, everybody. Until next time.
Thanks, Rob.
Keep the faith. Keep the faith.
Thank
That's
you, brother.
right.
Thanks
All right.
so much.